I saw this. You saw the Kids for Cash documentary. Yeah. This is a case of the Pennsylvania judge who had organized with some builders to build a juvenile detention facility, and then subsequently, when kids would come into his courtroom with very minor offenses, he would throw them in this facility and get for 5 years up to, and then get kickbacks.
He paid for the facility, and he got kickbacks.
He got huge kickbacks. The guy's a millionaire, and then he finally said, "No, I was just everything was above board.
I was just doing this to serve my community. We had to pay for this somehow, and it's totally legal." And
it's unbelievable. And you really need to watch the documentary because it's an interesting documentary because they were interviewing the judge prior to the time he finally went to jail. And the thing that struck me most about it is because the guy was so smooth.
There's no betraying that he has done anything wrong.
That's exactly right. If you listen to him explain that, oh no, these kids, I was trying to help them out, and I was, that it could easily fly under the radar, and to the world of officialdom, which would be the people who would be overseeing them, like the FBI and stuff like that. This guy's smooth talking about how, these kids, I'm trying to help them through a difficult time, so might have worked.
Yeah, and this is what they say, that the certain amount of people in these positions of power are just psychopaths, and because they're so glib and because they're so easy at passing for a normal human being, then they get away with it and they go unnoticed, and this is how...
and it was only the sheer luck of some dogged individuals whose lives were destroyed by this guy, who kept pressing a few people that were in government and the FBI, and finally, the FBI did step forward, and so that
after so many kids' lives had been ruined. I mean, what was it, like 3,000 kids or something?
Yeah, and they had to pardon them all, of course.
Yeah, but it's like too late. They fucking spent 5 years in jail.
The question I have is, how much more of this is going on that's just not getting uncovered? Because
there's going to be a lot of it, because especially now that there's private prisons too, in addition to these ones that they built, that this guy built, which I think was still a public prison. Not public.
The existing prison was just supposedly overcrowded and dirty and old-fashioned.
Yeah, and he was trying to say, that it's for the good of the community that we're building a nice new shiny prison, and we got to pay for it somehow. So, your sons and daughters, when they make a nasty website about their headmaster, then we just need to put them away for 5 years.
Well, they throw a school book across the room, and then they're in there for 5 years. Yeah,
I felt so bad for that girl that all she did was make a website making fun of the assistant principal, and she goes away for 5 years.
5 years horrifying. Of her life. This girl should get millions
Lots of money.
Dollars. Yeah.
Shit.
But the bottom line is that this kind of abuse probably is more systematic than we...
Yes.
And then we know, and that's the scariest part.
Yeah, we know for one thing that rehab programs they rip people off for tens of thousands of dollars, and they have this patient bartering program. I recently saw this investigation by some station out on the West Coast that they found this kid had overdosed because he was in a rehab in Florida, and some friend comes up to him and says, "Hey, well, we'll pay you airfare, and we'll pay for your clothes and your haircut and everything, but you got to come out to this rehab in California." And what they do is they pay these drug addicts to come to their facility, and it's a whole industry.
Now, how do they get paid again?
They get paid the referral. These rehabs, for one thing, cost a lot of money to go to one of these things, and you get there's a percentage of finder's fee.
Oh, but so you have to be. You're talking about only rich people who can afford this.
I think that in some cases the insurance pays. Actually, I think a lot of cases the insurance pays for it.
I see. Okay.
And so that's called a finder's fee, and then that they just have been bartering these kids, and while the thing is that they have to. They also have a hookup with the drug testing companies, so they get paid up to a couple $1,000s for a urine test, which is insane. But to get into the program, you have to fail your urine test. So you can be doing very well at your rehab in Florida or whatever, but if you want to get to this California one and get the money, you have to start doing drugs again, and that's how this kid died. So it's really the most unethical thing you could possibly think of, but that's what the whole rehab industry is built on. Drug addicts are the one class of people it's still acceptable in society to discriminate against and to treat like the lower subhuman scum. Every other formerly oppressed class of people at least has risen to the level of human. Some of them are obviously higher than others, but drug addicts is still very acceptable to look down on them and treat them like shit. So we end up with this rehab thing. And if you look at the effectiveness of the programs, they still are teaching this 12-step thing as being the only way to get out of your problem, when there's absolutely no scientific proof that this works. It works for 5% of people max. And they'll even admit that when forced to, but they generally don't force them to. anyway, it's just unethical. And rehabs, prisons, anything that we put our disciplinary problems away, and we tend to forget about them, even when they're being completely abused and exploited.
$1,000 for a urine test. We're in the wrong business, I'll tell you that.
Liquid gold is what they call it. Liquid gold.